Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Digital Identity 360. We are honored to be coming to you from the beautiful Terranea Resort in Los Angeles, having concluded our Digital Identity Summit. And I am super proud to have Kim Sutherland, who is the Director of Fraud and Identity at our parent company, Risk Solutions. And Kim has just done a fantastic keynote on identity. So Kim, as I think about it, welcome, and let's get into it.
Thank you.
Good to have you. You know, Kim, one of the things you said that was really interesting to me was this idea of how identity has morphed from really a static, government-based documents that we know aren't helpful and useful anymore, to this kind of fluid, concept that includes my assertions about my identity, my behavior, the validation and proofing you've done. So maybe talk a little bit about your view on how our combined kind of solutions of physical and digital identity help inform that construct and flesh it out.
Yeah, so I really think that identity is continuous now. Yeah. I think it's leveraging the device that you're using to assert your identity. So to me, a driver's license, for example, is actually still a very good identity document, but it's only good if you're going to authenticate that it's real, if you're going to be able to look at the biometric, so looking at the face and then doing biometric recognition there, and then also figuring out, did it come from a safe device to start out with? And then starting to tie in all of those different digital attributes to see if that person exists in the physical world and in the digital world.
You know, it's so interesting. I think you're exactly right. So, I've been fond of saying that online only four things matter. The first thing that matters is the method of interaction with the digital world. Mm-hmm. And as you just said, that's your device. And in a real sense, the device is the new social identity, a social security card or driver's license, in the sense that it becomes the repository of identity, right? Mm-hmm. The next thing that matters, and this will resonate with you given all your email accounts, but the next thing that matters is stitching together your identity. In the real world, you and I have just met. You're Kim, I'm Frank. Our identities are known to us. But in the online world, you could have 13 different identities that deal with coupons and spam accounts and kids' alma maters and those kinds of things. And so stitching together those identities in a way that they're validated is the second ingredient that matters. And then the third thing that matters is how you behave in real time. Mm-hmm. Because, Frank's a good employee till he's not. Frank's a good internet citizen till he's not. Mm-hmm. And so that behavior is fluid. And then finally, and I think this is where our combined view of the world is so powerful, taking how you interact, who you are, how you behave, and correlating that to known threat vectors, right? And so to your point, if those originating documents are compromised and flawed, having a broader view of how those credentials behave is super cool. I know you finished saying you were excited. I think I'm equally excited. How do you think our customers will react to this idea of a broader identity and the fact that we effectively become the custodian of identity?
Well, I mean, I think that personas are fractured, right? Identities are not. And identity is a holistic amalgam of all those fractured components, right? So if you only had fractured identities, that would be kind of schizophrenia. Yeah. So I think our customers are in a schizophrenic world right now, and having us together really does bring sanity to the whole picture around identity. So now they can look at things in a much easier way to look at the whole consumer, to really assess their risk, and then have a better way to manage it in their company. I
think you're entirely right. One of the things, Kim, that was interesting in this conference, one of the emblematic themes, certainly from those that were in infrastructure, so those that are building infrastructure kind of deals, was that there ought to be government intervention, that government should establish the standard, and then from that, you move on. And, Neil from Interact talked about DIAC, others talked about identity vaults and things like that. But what's interesting is, the problem with that, in my mind, with that model is that identities have to travel globally. Mm-hmm. And so, I have to be in a situation where I can authenticate and recognize that individual irrespective of point of origin or geography. So, talk about that kind of conflict between having a standard-setting body that's large and imposing versus, I think, what we built as a combined company of this commercially based, behavior-based fluid identity.
Yeah, so since 2011, I've been involved with a lot of White House initiatives around fraud and identity. And the good news is that most of the time, those initiatives were not solely US-based. Yeah. It was really important to know what was going on in the UK or even a country like Estonia, to be able to look at all of those different identity trends. So, I mean, I think that the concept of identity and how we develop solutions have to be global. Yeah. The different attributes might be might not be the same in every country, but being able to look at things like mobile device, mobile's global, email is global, how we interact is universal. So those types of things are really important to make identity not just a domestic viewpoint.
One interesting distinction between our companies is that nobody in ThreatMetrix gets near the White House. They just won't let us. So congratulations on increasing our pedigree.
Yeah, that hasn't happened in a couple of years that I've been involved
Well,
with.
there you go. Hey, one closing thought that I think really speaks to the point you just said is that the market, I think, really dictates what the need is. And the velocity of commerce and the way things are changing, you mentioned mobile device, on how important that is as an anchor for all the other identity attributes and behavior. I think this problem gets solved in terms of identity, not just as it is today. I loved your presentation, where were we, where are we, where are we headed? But I think we all recognize identity begins to morph and change.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think this problem gets solved by virtue of the fact that we have so many touch points that we can bring to bear. One touch point I was thinking about during your presentation is, think of how you strengthen identity by associating it with things that are now connected in your home. Right? It's almost unspoofable in the sense that if I know that you're at Frank's kitchen and my microwave's talking to the internet, and I can use that microwave as a frictionless point of an additional identity marker, because it's very unlikely that somebody's going to be able to spoof both my mobile phone, my iWatch, and my microwave. I think the benefit of this combination is that we begin to solve the identity imperative in a way that's extensible. We always talk about that in software, making sure we're extensible. What are your views about that, just the power we'll have to kind of continue to adapt to those modalities?
Well, actually, I think you're thinking like a fraudster. And here's
Thank
why.
you. That's why I can't get near the White House.
But here's the issue that really smart fraudsters, they will tap in online to see if you're using your energy sources, right? So they're going to see are your utilities used right now, because that means you're at home. Being able to pay attention to those things within the house, the Internet of Things is really changing how we all interact, right? So if I see that your heartbeat is moving faster than normal, maybe you're out running, if I can tap into your watch. So being able to use as many different data points to prove my identity is important, but also understand that fraudsters are really quickly evolving. So they're trying to use as many data points as well.
Yeah, I think that's so true, and I think there's it's refreshing to know that as organized and as well as they communicate, that there's guys on our end, our combined companies working to help strengthen that trust, that trustability on the internet. It's such a pleasure and honor to have you. I think I'm having listened to your presentation and spent some time together, just really encouraged by the degree of subject matter expertise that we're bringing to solve this problem. And our theme here is the power to predict. And you close with that in your presentation. My view is that, and I think it's going to be a prediction that comes true, is that LexisNexis and ThreatMetrix together are going to disrupt identity in a way that's profound, and we'll look back in a bunch of years and go, wow, this was the inflection point where we were able to do that.
We're using the tag right now, Identity Reimagined, and I think that we are taking identity to a new level that hopefully people haven't even thought. When you bring these types of attributes together, these types of analytics and platforms, that you really can solve this problem much better and much faster.
Awesome. Kim, thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
Thanks
for joining us. Guys from the Terranea Summit, Kim Sutherland from LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Her mandate there and her purview is digital identities and identity in general. So thank you very much, Kim.
Thank you.